Go ahead, take us in, Grant.
I'm not recording yet.
We are.
Yeah.
Are we?
Is my right. Welcome to Twigs and Wigs.
Damn, baby.
The podcast about music.
Sometimes.
Hello, welcome to Bones, Twigs and Wigs. This is our vinyl impressions, and it's my choice this week. If you've been watching any of this stuff before, my name is Steve. I'm from the UK. We got Johnny from the USA, and we got Grant from Australia.
G'day, mate.
And I left a dramatic pause. Oh yeah. So yeah, it's my choice this episode, and I got to choose a vinyl. We try and talk about specifically vinyls we have. Once we're allowed to go shopping again, I'm going to go and get some more. But this means a lot to me for different reasons. And so I have chose Jimi Hendrix Band of Gypsys, which is this. If you're on YouTube, you can see the album cover. It's Jimi Hendrix. All the stuff that everybody knew about him was mainly him and two other dudes. And it got to the point where they didn't like each other very much because he was overdubbing the bass player. And he'd fallen out with the manager, and he just had enough. And they did Woodstock, and they put together a random band of people at Woodstock. And on stage, he actually says, I've written down, what's it? Oh yeah, it ain't nothing but a band of gypsies. That's what he said at Woodstock on stage, you know. Woodstock, I think he went on stage like 8 hours late because they put LSD in the water or something ridiculous like that. But he's like, it ain't nothing but a band of gypsies. And so that's where the name comes from. And they were writing some songs, came up with some idea for songs. Buddy Miles and Billy Cox. Buddy Miles, the drummer, is also a singer. And he had some ideas. I was going to say, not the strongest, but, you know, he's still a singer. Yeah, they were going to do some gigs. But the main reason this came about is because he actually had a contractual issue, the same way that a lot of people had problems, like Prince and different people have had problems with contracts, especially at those times when nobody really knew what they were signing. And it was with Capitol Records, and it was a long time before even Hey Joe and Purple Haze, I think, but they had him tied. And so he had to do another album, and it had to be new original material. And he's like, well, let's do a live album.
Wow.
And that's partly where this came from. And I just got given this by a friend of mine. Not this, but the CD I had ages ago. And he really spoke to me. It's just a nice jamming thing. It really is. There's just one song on here that made a massive impression on me, which it does on most people. And the reason why this...
I wonder which one.
Exactly. The reason why this particularly is important for me is because my first contract with the cruise company we all met on, did well then. I was on my own, obviously doing my gig on my own, and the cast really took me under their wings. We joined the same day, and the dance captain is Brittany. Hopefully you're watching this. Brittany in Florida. No, Florida, New England. I meet everybody in Florida.
Have a conversation with her, that's fine.
I meet everybody in Florida, so I'll just presume. Anyway, yeah, and they invited me to be part of Secret Santa with the cast, and I'd never done that before. And as I was going to be spending Christmas on my own, it was really sweet of them to do that. And my Secret Santa, I had Matthew, I believe it was. So I got him a lot of little gifts. You put like some chocolate on the door, and then you have the bigger gift on the day. And the person who was my Secret Santa, like, I was getting all sorts of things. I was getting candies and sweets. I got a Manchester United jersey top. This is like just the random stuff. We were supposed to put a cap of like, I don't know, $30. And this jersey was like, I don't know, 50 on its own or whatever. I was like, what the hell? And then FIFA computer game, the actual PS4 game, I was like, that's like $60. I'm like, why? Who's spending all this money on me? Who the hell is it? And on the day, it turned out it was Brittany, the dance captain, awesome human being. And the last gift she gave me was this. Randomly, she'd gone in and said, oh, he has a Jimi Hendrix tattoo. I don't know anything about Jimi Hendrix. And the guy, or the girl who served her, gave her this, which happens to be my favorite thing to listen to at the time. And I didn't have it with me. And then on top of that, I obviously didn't have anything to play it on. She bought me a record player on the ship.
Man, who is this Britney?
Oh, was
Hey,
she single at the time?
Yeah.
No, she wasn't.
Is she single now?
No, she's not. She's not.
Like,
She's not. She's
Jesus.
amazing.
Shout out to Britney.
Brittany,
The
call
loveliest
her,
human
brother.
being. She's actually a very talented
I'll play-
writer as well.
Yeah. I'll play the record.
Oh man. The sad thing is, when I left, I couldn't physically take the record with me, the record player with me. Sorry, so I had to give it away to someone, but they got to use it, so that's cool. Yeah. So, Brittany, thank you very much. It was just to be so spot on. I don't know if you guys have ever had a gift like that take you by surprise when it's so spot on of somebody I'd known for like 3-4 months. Hey, Christ. Right.
All the outtakes.
So, thank you, Brittany, very much for having thought about everything so much and getting this rather than just getting the greatest hits or something. She went and took a risk. She took a risk on something, and I love it. And having the actual vinyl, I only opened it today for the first time because I just listen to stuff digitally because I'm never ever at home, so I just never have access to it, which is sad. But how cool is that? How cool is that in the middle of that? I can't really.
This is great because this is
it's
the
like a
first that
piece,
Steve's
right?
seen it as well.
Yeah,
Right,
this is
it's
on
crazy, right?
I mean, there's
My
a little
man
poem.
Wade-
Wow, look at all the artwork.
I mean, this is new for me. This is new for me.
He
There's
waited
a
to
poem.
go on air to do this, yo.
He's
I
so
love it.
prepared for the episode.
I know. I actually today I was going to open it. I thought I'll open it on the episode, and then realized, well, there's probably nothing inside,
didn't.
and it is. And I thought that would be the best way to do it.
There you go.
But
No, you didn't.
I did.
You didn't think of that at all.
I did. That's
Don't
why I
lie.
didn't open it. Listen, coffee head. Anyway, so I love the album. There's some flaws with it, and it is a live album. It was rushed out, contractually speaking, and they had some issues. I think they did like 4 shows, and so it's not all on New Year's Eve, even though he says New Year's Eve at one point. It's different shows. I'm interested by your thoughts on it. Like I say, it's not a classic Hendrix album in the sense of, Voodoo Child and Foxy Lady and Hey Joe. It's not all the massive songs he wrote, but to me personally, Machine Gun, which is track 2, which is 12 minutes, I think. 12 minutes, 38 seconds. That to me is one of the best jam songs and one of the best anti-war songs ever written. I think the lyrics are great. I think he was doing stuff with the guitar that no one had done at that point. He'd got a load of new effects by Roger, what's his name? Roger Mayer, is it? Who created the fuzz face and the wah wah for him. And
Nailed it.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. And so he'd got a load of new toys. He'd because Hendrix would say to him, I want to make the guitar sound like this. And he'd go, okay. And he'd try and make something. And that's how, without Hendrix, we wouldn't have a lot of these effects. Like a lot of the high-end octave, not high-end, so the higher octave pedals, not. And so a lot of that is him just messing around on stage and trying to make machine gun noises. And at the end of the song, it literally, the bombs drop. It's like, I read a good quote before, and it said, it's like a war movie without the visuals. Like you can start at the beginning and it sort of builds, and then you got the which is like the machine guns, and it builds to the groove, and then at the end, everything explodes like a bomb going off. Like it's just kills me, that song every time.
There's not much more of a kind of almost like an anthem to pretty much every single movie or TV show about like the Vietnam War. It's either that or like
Paint It Black.
I
or
mean,
something.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Fortunate Son. I don't know.
Yeah. There's a few. There must be like a Vietnam.
They're always in the helicopters, and you always see like Fortunate Son or
Right.
Machine Gun playing.
Yeah.
So it's
They're like flying over Vietnam. Yeah.
What's the track from Apocalypse Now? Why can't I remember it when the helicopters come in that huge piece? Oh god, people will be going crazy now if I can't. No, it's Cry
that's
the
it, you
Valkyries.
could-
Cry the Valkyries. Valkyries.
Fly to the Valkyries.
Fly to the Valkyries.
That one? Oh, yeah. Is that the name of that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Fly to the
immense.
Valkyrie.
Yeah, anyway, but that's
yeah,
my
man.
favorite track on the album. I'm not going to ask you for. We normally try and say 3 favorite tracks.
But it's
I'm
really
just
only
gonna say
6. Yeah, I'm about to say it's only 6 tracks on the whole album.
Yeah.
That was the crazy thing to me. Like I almost texted you guys and said, "Is this like the right one? Like I got the right album? Is it like 2 albums or something? You know?" Man, like I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to pick one, but if I had to pick one, I would probably say We Gotta Live Together.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, man. Like I was just feeling that, and it's like the whole album, like all of the songs, well, most of the songs, if not all, had like those breaks where it's just like just like really groovy. You know what I'm saying? No vocals. There was this breakdown where the song just breaks down. You just hear like drums, guitar, and then you hear, I don't know if it's Jimmy or one of the band members, but they're like playing guitar and like scatting. You know what I'm saying? At the
There's
same
only
time.
Jimmy. There's only one guitar. It's just Jimmy on one guitar.
Oh, so it's just Jimmy.
Oh yeah, that's
bro.
why. That's why it's so impressive when you hear the guitars. It's just there's only one guitar player, one
Bro,
guitar, one bass,
it's-
drums. Three of them. There's three men making this noise.
Bro, it's bananas, bro. It sounds like at least like a 5-piece band, like 4 or 5, But like I'm listening to it and he's like, ooh, like playing the guitar, like, scatting at the same time. I'm just like, yo, this is fire. And then like the bass comes in and it's just so groovy, bro. And it's like, I'm just like, wow, and I'm not like the biggest Jimi Hendrix fan. I'm not going to sit here and be like, yeah, I heard this song, I heard that song, but listening to that album, I'm just like, it definitely put me on to, to just like his whole, what's the word I'm looking for? Just his whole, I guess being, what I'm saying? Like just him being like, considered a legend, considered a trendsetter, what I'm saying? And a pioneer, which is crazy. Cause like, for those of you who don't know, Jimmy, like his career was like very short lived, right?
Yeah, like 4 years.
27 Club.
Right. So he, but like he started playing or kind of like started getting known when he was like how old?
Oh no, well actually, to be honest, we won't get into the massive backstory, but he played with Little Richard, with Ike and
Right.
Tina. He toured so much. He had
Right.
he had a band called Jimmy James and the Blue Flames, and like he toured like Curtis. I can't Curtis' second name, but that's why
Curtis Mayfield?
I don't think that's not Curtis Mayfield. No, they come back to me. Yeah, but he did all that. But it was 1967 or the end of '66. I'm not entirely sure that he was doing a gig in a Cafe Watt in the Village in New York. And just happened that Chaz Chandler, who was a bass player in the Animals, who was still a big thing at the time, and he was trying to get into management, and he walked in. I think it was Linda who. Anyway, I think somebody brought him in, and he was like, "This guy is sick. I've got to take him back to London. We've got to do something." And brought him to London, and it was England that made Hendrix. Like it gave him a
'cause
chance. He
he's
wasn't getting the chance in America because
Right.
he was seen as so he played it with his teeth behind his head, did all that stuff. So
Right.
Little Richard and the guys, like, they would have him on stage, step forward, play behind his head, do the stuff, then step back. That was your job.
Exactly.
And he wanted to write songs, and
Right.
and Chaz Chandler
Yeah,
gave him a chance.
his role for Little Richard is like the duck walker.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry, of course, it's Duck Walker.
He does all those cheesy little Chuck Berry things while he plays a wicked solo, and
Yeah.
then get back in line, kid.
Right. Get
Little-
back
That's
in
it,
line.
yeah.
Let me
Don't
take a
overstep your
shot.
mark. Yeah, if he did a little bit too
But,
long, they'd kill him after. Especially Little Richard. I mean,
Yeah.
he must have been terrifying.
and then Hendrix gets taken to England, and all he really wants to do is meet Eric Clapton. He's like, "Oh man, can I meet Eric Clapton?"
Yeah.
and at the time, like Johnny, if you know about Eric Clapton,
hated him.
Eric Clapton was God.
Right.
Like literally, there was graffiti on the walls in London saying Clapton is God. People, because he's a first good white blues player, and especially doing the stuff he was doing
Right.
was quite out there. But he's very good. And
Well, now, have you guys seen the Jimi Hendrix movie?
I
with,
saw that on a flight with
Andre 3000?
With Andre.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
There's 2 of them. One was like super low budget, but the one with Andre 3000, I saw it. One of my old music directors gave it to me, and just watching the movie, man, just watching like what he went through, I was like, dude, man, this guy was like crazy, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
Does it cover him getting himself out of the army by telling the superior officer that he was addicted to masturbating?
I can't even remember that.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine that like a glorification art piece is going to mention that about Jimi Hendrix.
There's
can't
so
even
many
remember.
stories about that. The vast
He was
majority.
a sneaky. He was a sneaky old fucking hippie.
Yeah.
But you guys might know, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there is a scene in the movie where he's battling, not really battling, but he's just like playing this like super hard solo, and it might have been Eric Clapton that he was like, on stage with, and like Eric's just kind of like mean mugging him, and he's like, "Oh man, who's this kid?"
That's a
That'd be
famous
it, yeah.
moment. In
Yeah,
his
that's
life,
the
is
one.
when he got. That's when he's in England,
Right,
singing on
so
stage with
he-
Eric Clapton.
he-
They just throw him in, and he
Yeah.
just blows him away. Yeah,
But like he plays, like if I'm not mistaken, he plays Eric Clapton's song like back to him.
Yeah.
But he's not just like sitting here playing, like he's playing it like behind his head. He's like on the floor, like running around. He's jumping up while he's like still playing this solo, like so perfect. And they said Eric like threw his guitar down and just like walked off stage or something like that.
I mean, to be honest, there's different versions. The version that I always knew was that Clapton had heard about him and everyone was raving about him. So like Hendrix was doing small gigs in London because people were
Right.
just getting to know him. And it's still in the 60s. Like the papers called him the wild man of Borneo. I mean, such a racist bullshit stuff, but just because he's a black guy with a big throat.
Right.
And so he wore crazy clothes, partly because he, at one point he was living on the streets, he had nothing, man. So when he had a bit of money, and he didn't have a lot of money at all, nothing like that, but they were looking after him, and the girls loved him. Oh my God, the English girls loved Jimi Hendrix. And so he was having a bit of fun, and people would go and watch him, and he was getting bigger and bigger. And then, like Chas Chandler, he said, you need to write your own song, because Hey Joe, they did Hey Joe, which is a very, very old country song. So he said, we got Hey Joe, everyone loves it, but we need another song. And he wrote something called 51st Anniversary, which is a B-side, but his first A-side song was Purple Haze, and he wrote it in the dressing room, just went, I've got a riff, okay. And Chas Chandler's like, I'd never heard anything like that before, cool.
Bro, that's crazy.
But the stories that Clapton heard
Back in
about
the
all this
day.
stuff came down, the story I always knew came down and was backstage watching him, and when he saw what he could do, he's like, and apparently was physically ill, like actually threw up, because like he thought he was so far ahead of the game, and then saw that and physically threw up. In the film, they actually have him on stage with him, almost like a battle. I'm not sure. I mean,
Right.
it depends on who you ask. Different things happened. I mean, different
Yeah, it's
autobiographies.
definitely check it out. Like Andre 3000 does an awesome job.
Man, he looks like
I
him.
can see him being Hendrix.
You know what I'm saying?
he
And what
look-
makes it even better
Have you not
is
seen
like,
it, Grant?
huh?
Have you not seen it, Grant?
No, I haven't
Oh, I
seen
thought
it.
you'd
But
seen
me and
it.
Johnny have.
Man, all
Johnny's talked to me about it for.
I did,
like 2
yeah.
years, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I was about to say, I know I talked to you about it. And
It comes up a lot.
I have it on my hard drive, and I kept meaning to like give it to you. But I
All
mean,
those
you can,
coffees I made you, and you never brought the hard
I
drive
know,
to the
man,
room.
because I'm always forgetting it in my room, and I'm always like like every time you have coffee time, that's my sleepy time. You know what I'm saying? So I'm barely getting up there.
That's
I'm like,
why you need the coffee time.
I'm like 2 hours late getting the coffee time. I walk in the cafe. Grant's like, "You're here. Come watch
I'll make
UFC with
another
me."
pot.
It's always
It's like,
hands in the air.
"Hey, come watch these UFC highlights."
Yeah, I was about to say there's normally some sort of blood sport on the computer.
Right? Like we're just watching
Yeah,
people beat the
yeah.
crap out of each other, like at noon. Like it's weird,
Man, I tell you,
By the
that,
time you get there, 3 or 4 in the afternoon.
right? But no, like
it's a good film. There's
you
no
know-
Hendrix songs in it. The Hendrix estate knew they were doing this thing, and because the Hendrix estate is pretty shitty. I mean, Hendrix's dad is an absolute arsehole anyway, but like,
Yeah.
But they basically said, no, you can't use any of Jimmy's songs. They're like, but we're making this film. That's
That's
you
why I
can't use
know
any.
about it.
So they're allowed to use Wild Thing, which was a cover
Right.
of the Trogs Wild Thing, which he did a very
Right.
famous version. That's when he set it on fire and stuff the first time. They're allowed to use him doing Hey Joe, I think, because that's an old song.
You could
what
do
are
all the Bob Dylan songs. And
I think
all
like
that,
like
right?
a Rolling
I mean,
Stones.
assuming Bob Dylan lets him.
That's
Yeah.
terrible, man.
Along the Watchtower, maybe.
And another thing I think they do, in fact, they definitely do it in the film, and this is definitely one of my favorite stories ever at Jimi Hendrix, about the balls this guy had. The biggest band in the world then, and maybe now, depending on who you speak to, is the Beatles, or was the Beatles. Like I said, depending on who you speak to, influenced by, and nobody can, you might not like the Beatles so much, some people are obsessed, but you cannot take away from what they did. I mean, Christ, what they did. Anyway, they brought out Sgt. Pepper, and this is obviously, there's no internet, none of that stuff. That came out, it's either that day or the night before, I can't remember. And Hendrix had a gig, and they were basically sound checked. And he turns around to Mitch Mitchell and Noel Redding. He goes, "Right, we're gonna do Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. We're gonna do it." And they're like, "But we're on stage in 2 hours. The doors are opening, and the Beatles are coming to watch us." And he's like, "I don't care." And literally put the vinyl on, and they sat there and learnt it. And so people had just heard it for the first time, like that day. So all these people are coming to see Hendrix, and they're like, "Whoa, the Beatles have dropped this ridiculous record, which is mind-blowing. Stuff had never been done before." Mm-hmm. Sit down in the audience, and Jimi Hendrix comes out and plays the title track from the album. Can you imagine? In front of John Lennon, in front of Paul McCartney? I can't even.
That's crazy, yo.
And kills it. And his version is ace, like really good. And that's not an easy song to play. That's not a straightforward song to play.
But that's the thing too. Like, and side note, you guys said Along the Watchtower. That's probably like one of my favorite Jimmy songs. Like, I love the start of that. You know what I'm saying? Like he's just making that thing talk. But then like even when like he breaks it down, they're gonna run me out of here. Like just there's a joker to the dude. Like it's just like that man has soul, man. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man, do you know he thought he couldn't sing? He never thought he could sing. Like when he did the first album, he turned the lights off. Nobody could look at him. He had to hide. Like he was so nervous of his voice, and he's got a beautiful voice.
But let's be honest. Let's be honest. Like he's really not a singer. You know what I'm saying?
But what I mean is, it's his soul. You can like Bob Dylan is not a singer, but the soul comes out. You know
what I'm saying? It's crazy, man. But like, it's so funny. Like you said that, like with like the Sgt. Pepper's. It made me think about Hendrix's national anthem. You know what I'm saying? Like people still rock out to that. They throw that on, and I mean, well, not nowadays with all this protesting and stuff going on, but
I've had to play that many a time.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's
people think it's
annoying
so,
to learn.
They think it's so cool, bro. They think it's so cool. Like you think about back then, it was like, when you heard the national anthem, you heard somebody singing it very, in like an opera like manner, or you heard like a orchestra playing it. And then now you got like this crunchy rocking guitar, you know what I'm saying, playing like, this national thing, you know what I'm saying?
And it's interesting seeing two ways as well, because a lot of people will hear it, and I've been asked to play it a bunch, and obviously Grant has with the electric guitar especially, and a lot of people think it's like, patriotic. Well, for Hendrix, it was against Vietnam and stuff. That's why the guitar dies. That's why he makes the bomb noises. That's why he does everything. For him, it was just an angry, stoned off his face or LSD'd off his face at Woodstock, and at the end of it, goes straight into bang, it goes straight to Purple Haze. For him, it was like, nah,
right.
I mean, then again, you get different stories out of him in a different day, but
I
don't think he meant he didn't mean it as a rousing tribute. I don't think, because that'd be too twee for Jimmy.
I don't think he meant it as anything. I think that people attach meaning to something that he just did while he was fucked up.
Oh, well, that's what I mean. There's definitely that. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely truth in that as well.
Yeah, you might be right.
I'm a constant skeptic for those sort of things, especially things that happen.
Meanings in songs, meaning in paintings. It's very easy to add those after the fact. Like when we all play, we all do something. Like, oh, that's beautiful. What you did then. You're like, I wasn't thinking. I was just doing it.
Exactly. You're just doing it, and that's the beauty in music and art, especially when you're talking about like the greats. You know what I'm saying? Like I was watching this interview with I don't mean to get into hip hop. But you guys know I love Nas. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah, I love Nas. So I was watching this interview. Nas was getting interviewed by some like English professor at like some prestigious university. I don't know if it was like Yale or Harvard or something like that. But he's getting interviewed, and she's breaking down some of his like classic tracks, and she's saying, so you had this line where you said this, yada, 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 boom, boom, boom. Now, you meant boom, 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 boom. And I was just like, yeah, I meant that. And then she'll go back, and you also said in this song, this and this and that. And then I was just like, yeah, because, I wrote that at a time like this. But then she goes, now, you said this and said that and boom, boom, boom. And I was just like, well, if that's what you got out of it, then, go with
That's
it. You know what I'm saying? He was like, I wasn't really thinking about that. But if you know what I'm saying, if you caught something out of that, if you caught like an analogy out of that, then yeah, man, more power to you, So it's like,
man. Everyone wants meaning out of stuff. I think that's part of what we get excited about. Any movie, everyone's like, oh yeah, it's an analogy of life, and it's like, no, the guy was making a horror film. Oh, you know
what I'm saying?
Sometimes,
Well, that's something.
I tend to go for the
you've
simplest
gotta-
explanation. I don't like all this conspiracy bullshit about anything in life. I tend to go simplest
Yes,
explanation.
you do.
No, I don't. I hate that
do.
stuff. I hate that stuff. I hate this when people say 9/11 and not, like things didn't happen. I'm like, no, there's a simplest explanation. That
Because
A
that's
to B.
when Hendrix dives the bomb. He does that's why they call it the dive bomb.
That's not a conspiracy theory. That's
he just
making an explosion noise on the guitar.
oh, look at this bar. Look at this bar. It makes it go down. That's cool.
I think it was more than that. More than that in that one.
God.
But anyway, we've been talking about this for a long time. So
Yeah, we only got to Johnny's favorite song.
that's what I was going to say. I mean, mine was
man.
Machine Gun. Johnny, which one were you going for? Johnny, I can't remember. You said no.
Yeah, I said we gotta live together.
we gotta live together.
And that was like the last track too, right?
It is. It's more like the
it's the
crowd
final-
getting together,
yeah.
singing together. And also it's Hendrix didn't write that one, so it's interesting. It's
Wow.
It's Miles' one. So
Oh man.
I think I know what Grant would say if I'd not already said it. So I'd presume you're going to go for something different. That's my thought.
Well, with this,
There's only six to choose from. So
I like this album, but I was talking to you last night while I was listening to it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's I like this album and can't stand it at the same time. Like, because like you listen to this particular one like way more than like the Live at the Isle of Wight or Live at Woodstock, or like this particular one, you can hear. I hear like funkadelic.
Very.
I hear,
very funk
I can
rock,
hear,
like
like-
it's the start of the funk rock thing. A lot of people say that this influenced them in the 70s to do the funk rock stuff like this album.
Yeah, but especially if you listen to like a lot of what's the funkadelic record that talks about, I don't know, like talks about your brain, or I can't, it's escaping me right now, but there's a couple of funkadelic albums really that are really just open jams.
Yeah.
That and that's directly from this particular album, like when he plays Machine Gun, for instance. I can hear so much Stevie Ray Vaughan in this album too.
Oh god, yeah.
I can 100% tell that Stevie Ray Vaughan has been sitting there.
You
just
talking
like
about
with the
Maggot
needle.
Brain?
Yes, Maggot Brain.
Yeah, I had to
That's
look it up. Great album,
Yeah,
by the way. Oof.
Oh, dude, it's great.
Adding that to the playlist.
But dude, it's so very obviously this album. Like
Yeah.
they've been listening to this, but this album in particular. Yeah, so it's got so much shit that I love, and then it's got a bunch of little things in it that annoy the absolute piss out of me. Like every time Buddy Miles scat sings, I can't fucking stand him.
It
I
wasn't
like it.
that
I like it
bad,
to an
though.
extent. I like it to an extent. It just goes on too long, but I like it.
Yeah, it's
The brother
like,
can
I
sing.
think
He can get
last-
up there. He
last-
can do stuff.
yeah.
It's interesting.
Like last night, I was comparing him to Yoko Ono with Chuck Berry. Like
There is
when
one
they're
point where
playing-
he sounds like a
Oh
chicken at
my
one point.
God.
I'm like, wow, he's gone. And you can't hear Hendrix at all.
He
I've never seen
literally-
the video,
he
but you can't
does.
hear Hendrix. I feel like
Yeah.
Hendrix has just gone off
Dude.
to do a line of coke or something. At one point, he just stops playing, and it's just the bass, the drums, and him scatsing. And I think Jimmy's just walked off, just giving him 5 minutes to get it out of his system.
it's yeah, man. Yeah, so for me, like the best example of the like my favorite track and least favorite track at the same time is the opening one. Who knows? For that, because I really enjoy the track
he's gonna play
until about a minute and a half of Buddy Miles, and once he starts going exactly the noise that Yoko Ono makes when she's on TV with Chuck Berry.
Bro, like it was
She just
kind of
grabs the
cool
mic.
to me, man. It was kind of cool to me. I dig it.
I remember the first time hearing
it-
it, I loved it. And then whenever I'd come to it, I'd get to a certain point and just go, next.
I'm like, come on, buddy, wrap it up.
All right,
Yeah.
relax.
I mean,
Relax, bro.
he's having fun.
I get it.
It's
you
New
like
Year's
to sing
Eve.
while you
He's
play the
having fun.
drums. I get it.
I mean,
Fucking shut up.
for me though, it's interesting because Hendrix is the only
I'm here
singer.
to say Jimmy.
Exactly what I was going to say. People that are watching Hendrix, what? But I mean, like Hendrix was
Who's
the
this
only
fucker
singer.
in the back?
But he can sing. He can sing.
He'd be on the drums. He'd be on the drums in the back, just going. Fucking Jimmy's going, man, what the fuck?
That's why he leaves. I'm surprised you don't hear the
He
guitar
just
going.
walks off, yeah. I can imagine he just walks off like Miles Davis when someone else takes a solo. Miles just walks off and just looks at them like this.
Oh my god, bro. Oh,
Just
man,
watching
I'm over
them.
here
Yeah,
dying.
I can imagine Jimmy doing that with Buddy Miles
Miles
for at
Davis,
least like 5 minutes.
Miles Davis actually said that this was the best trio for Hendrix. He actually thought this was the best trio, apparently.
Wow.
Well, it's
I mean, I think Mitch Mitchell is a way better drummer. Mitch Mitchell was jazz influence, was all over the place, and was a real battle for Jimmy. Like, it was interesting. They played off each other, whereas, but he just sits on the beat. He's more funk, which is why it gives
was
this
in the pocket like the whole time.
A lot of people
man.
say he's
Like,
quite
ooh.
sloppy, but I think he's just because he's just a bit more laid back, and it's different at
don't
the
know,
time.
man.
This is
I-
before a lot of funk stuff, and he was playing behind the beat a little bit, so I like that.
Yeah, I dug it.
it's the most stretched out album that he's done. Hendrix that he did, like
that
so
Buddy
I can
did
see
or
why Miles-
that Hendrix did.
It's
that
the only
Hendrix
one
did.
they did. I mean, this was actually released while it was live because if people don't know, this was New Year's Eve, 69 going to 70. Hendrix is dead. September 18th, 1970. 70.
September 18th.
18th.
Yep.
So it's really sad hearing him say Happy New Year, and he does say Happy New Year. We might not have any others because there was all sorts of race riots and stuff going on at the time, and he was feeling a bit affected by it. He was being courted by the Black Panthers at the time. They wanted him to sort of represent, and he didn't want any of that. He was like trying not to be too political, apart from his music.
Right.
But it's I don't know. I mean, some things are bigger than music, and Machine Gun to me is bigger than music. That is one of those songs. It's like it just encapsulated. I can only imagine being in there at the time and having people in the audience who've been through Vietnam and people in the audience who were going through the race riots. And there was riots outside this, I think, or one of these gigs, there was riots outside and all this stuff they're going through. And then to hear Machine Gun, like, and that one is very specific. He did write that to sound like a machine gun. That he did do the dive bombs to sound like that. That is a written like I am doing this, and that is just such a powerful song. Like 12
It's
minutes
definitely
goes so fast in that
a
song.
time capsule. Like Machine Gun's become a time capsule and like a little snapshot of the Vietnam War. Like it really has. But honestly, like the funny thing is, the rest of this album is generally considered it's like quite forgettable.
It's got moments.
That's how it's been considered. I think outside of the cool name and Machine Gun, like not many people would be able to name you another track. Or who played on it.
They all play really well, I think, and
it's very good.
I think Power of Soul and Message to Love, I think, are great.
Message to Love was like my honorary like song choice right there. The background vocals and like like some of like the guitar licks in there, you know. It was some groovy stuff, man.
You got is it Power to Love for the
Was that it?
the weird time signatures? No, Power to Love. Which one's Power to Love? The time signatures. Because it's got the weird. So I think Hendrix just decided, right, I'm going to try and do 7/8, 5/4. Like he just was mixing it up for the riff and cutting it out. Because generally he was 4/4, but I mean he did other stuff like Dolly Dagger in 5/4 and whatever. But I don't know. Anyway, we've been talking a long time. So yeah, did you guys enjoy it? Enjoy it, especially Johnny. You've not really.
Oh, absolutely. You can't give me too much Hendrix.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, Johnny's
I
the
got
only
the
one without a
motherfucker.
Hendrix
I
tattoo.
got his face on my shoulder.
I'm a fan now. I can say that.
Got him.
Well,
He's
I mean,
down here somewhere.
I'm not-
Like,
There he is. I saw his eye.
I'm not that much of a fan to like get them tatted on me, but
Get
you
it
know,
done, man.
Well, you don't play guitar like we do. either,
exactly right.
That's
That
good.
is
It's such a cliche for the guitarist to get Jimi Hendrix tattooed
Right,
on them,
right.
and I am nothing if not a walking cliche.
Yeah, I guess I'll have to get like Coltrane or something, you know.
Oh, I've got Coltrane.
And
So
he
he's
doesn't
already got
play
that.
sax. It's crazy, man.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for listening today. This is one of our vinyl impressions, and if you haven't checked out this album, even if you're a Hendrix fan, I forgot about this. You just forget about these albums sometimes. Even if it's just for Machine Gun, get it. Have a listen to it. It's great to put in the background. It's a great, if you like jamming, though, if you love jamming, especially if you're a guitar player, bass player, drummer, in this type of mindset, you like rock music, this type of jamming is where a lot of it came from. And these guys sort of pushing it with the funk and the rock that before it even really became funk rock, because that wasn't a thing in 1970. So
yeah, I think if you just like funk and like soul, you know, man, just like definitely check it out. Dope album. I mean, you guys know me. Like I've said before, like I'm just a sucker for like soulful music. Yeah. So definitely, man. If you're into that kind of stuff, get it. It's awesome.
If you like chicken noises, there's the first song at the end of the first song. There's some chicken noises, Yoko Ono. Anyway, thank you guys. We're going to say goodbye. Join us again for more vinyl impressions. This was my choice. The guy's going to take over next time, so please do join us and keep safe. Look after yourselves. Peace.